Welcome to Work in Progress, Conversations with Creators. I'm your host, Logan Roy Speitman. On today's episode, I have with me Sabine Campana, an artist who grew up on the east side of the Berlin Wall, and she talks about how that influenced her art and her upcoming shows in Santa Fe. I hope that you enjoy.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Hi, Sabine. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So we're excited. You're going to be doing. You're going to be in 3 shows this summer in Santa Fe, and we'll talk about that. But I guess let's start with kind of how you became an artist.
It feels like I was an artist my whole life, but I started very early in life. I got a very intense art education. It started in school, in art history. We had competitions in all mediums, in all versions, and I kept just doing art on my own. And later in life, I think I was about maybe 28. I started to work on bigger pieces and used all the techniques and skills I learned as a child. And had my own exhibition, own private show, which was successful. And then I kept doing it. Although I had other jobs, I had other professions I worked in, but art was always my big interest.
Yeah.
Professionally, I started to do art when I moved from Germany to Texas. And this is when I started to work with children. I was teaching art, and I was working with art centers, was part of an Arts Alliance center. And this is when I really became professional and a full-time artist.
So let's talk a little bit about your childhood in Germany, because it's very interesting. We were just talking about it a little bit. But yeah, tell me about kind of how, I guess, being in Berlin and the Berlin Wall affected your life?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I was born in Germany, but I was born in the GDR. It's a country which doesn't exist anymore. And growing up on that side and looking to the other side over the wall, you see already that there's a difference. It was I would say a little harder life, since we had not the sources or resources maybe other kids have, which today I feel like it's an advantage because you are forced to be creative, to create something from nothing in your all-day life. It starts with clothing, with food, with furnishing, with anything what you do in your all-day life and on a daily basis. So you had to be very creative, and you had to learn how to renovate your apartment, how to fix your plumbing and your electricity. And so that came with it, which I didn't like as a child.
Sure.
But looking back, I think, wow, this is good. This is maybe why I built so many houses already in the meantime and enjoy it. And I can survive everywhere. So today I see it as a big advantage. And but the art education was very, very good in just in a basic school in high school until high school. We had very great art education in practice, but also in art history. The same is for music. And I want to point that out because my son grew up in Texas, and I see other children growing up here having not that exposure.
Yeah.
He had it, luckily. He had a wonderful art teacher and a great program. But I know many schools where kids are not exposed to that. And I feel like that's very sad because those are skills for life. And I feel like that's very important. I call it emotional education too.
Yeah.
So, but this is where I started pretty early already to to create things, to build my own things, to do my own jewelry, to just build my own furniture. And this came out all out of this creative pool, I would say.
So what was the art education like? I'm curious, because like, was it kind of focused on like the socialist, realist kind of like getting technically good?
I think the technical things are universal. I mean, this is a universal skill. I think there is no difference. Of course, the themes and what you learn about art history is or was obviously influenced by the socialist art coming mainly from Russia, because, you know, we were very much Russian influenced.
Yep.
Just to give you an idea, we had to learn Russian 5 years. That was mandatory. So I used to be fluent in Russian, and it was very much in our society. We had 2 TV channels. One was in German, one was in Russian.
Right.
So it was pretty much dictating social life, community life, politics, everything, economy and education. So everything was pretty much controlled by that. And yes, we learned a lot about the Russian culture this way too, right? We read all the literature in Russian, and which is interesting too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's influencing this too.
Did you learn about like the early Russian avant-garde, like sculptors like Tatlin and that, you know? Because I feel like your work now, like there is a kind of constructivist thing to it, but I don't know if you learned about that or not.
I think it didn't go back that far. I think it pretty much started with the Great October Revolution in 1917 with Lenin.
Yeah.
This is, I would say, when everything started in our school books.
Right.
And and you could see that even in the architecture of East Berlin. You still have buildings and alleys created, under this, in those times. You can see those signs still, and which is normal. I mean, we all have scars, right? Every country has their scars and their trails of things. No. Yeah.
The other thing, I mean, you were saying kind of growing up, not having access to a lot of things, and having to be resourceful. Do you think that's influenced the kind of art that you make?
Absolutely. I think, in my case, I can of course not talk for everybody, but in my case, it really influenced my habits. I'm very resourceful. I'm very mindful. I'm observing very well. I'm seeing things which I would not throw away. I see some potential in it and have mostly right away an idea what I could do with it. And if not, I have a gigantic inventory with collected materials. Everything is labeled and boxed up for in case, or because there will be a day when I will use it in some kind of art piece. And so I think collecting became a big part, and then also developing a feel, what do you combine with what? Like the 2 elements in my art, or what interests me the most, is nature and architecture.
Yeah.
And thanks God I was able, and I'm still able, to travel the world and see the world, and have endless ideas and endless inspirations. That was the word I was looking for. And it's really, when I do natural things, they usually are very organic and very natural looking. And I just had a show with more architectural things, and they are more geometric and more structured. But that was just by the theme. And
so when you travel, do you like are you always collecting things during your, like you find stuff and you're filling up your suitcase with all this?
It's not as bad anymore. It was like that. I mean, to an extent, when I collect rocks, which are, no, I cannot take them all home. I cannot have them in a suitcase. But
because that gets expensive.
like
there's weight limits too.
Yes,
they won't even let you,
yes. And, in the past, it was not the problem to collect shells, or actually, I work a lot with sponges, like sponges which show up at the shore, at the beach after a hurricane, because they die and then they land on the beach. And that's a wonderful material to work with. And I found many living in the southern part of Houston and Galveston and there. So I found a lot of material there. But I find those things and take them if it's allowed and create something out of that. But I also collect thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
And this is so recent. I'm just back from a wonderful trip sailing some islands, and there was one island
in Greece, around
in
the
Greece,
islands of
yes.
Greece,
And those were islands I have not known. I knew already 3-4 other islands. I traveled a lot in Greece when I lived in Germany. That's because it's 3 hours away, so that's in Europe very easy to travel there. But I haven't been there since 30 years. And so this time I really saw 5 new places. And when you hear island and you hear beach, then you think white or black sand, right? Depending how it was created. But in Milos, the beaches are accumulated white volcanic ashes, basically, and by erosion formed in the most beautiful and unusual ways. And that was totally unexpected and absolutely surprising. So I took a lot of pictures, but already in the way I think I will transfer it into my technique.
So like the forms and the shapes?
The forms, yes, and the white color, it was white, and then of course you have the turquoise, the blues, the greens from the water, and then you have some dark from some material which grew on it, and bizarre shapes. Really amazing shapes. And obviously I cannot take those with me.
Right.
So this is when I take pictures and start already at that point to work like with a concept.
Yeah, I love hearing that. And so sometimes you're taking actual materials if you're able to, and they're, not rare or that you're protected. But then, you're also taking the ideas, you're taking photographs, and then it comes together, because I think a lot of your work, I know your influence, a lot of it is based on nature or architecture, but it's never literal. It's always some kind of, it's a little bit abstracted or put together in a new way. And so I think that's such an interesting part of your process, how you take these elements of the landscape or of buildings and kind of reconfigure them.
Yes. My goal is not to create a copy of reality.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to replicate something I saw somewhere, or this is not my goal and not my challenge I'm going for. And so for me, it's really the feel I had when I was walking over those cliffs, and when that wind was blowing at me, when the light was amazing, and the smell from all the flowers and bushes around it. It's just a mix of everything. And this I will try to bring in one art piece with a total different, with a technique which has nothing to do maybe with water or any. It's just so that when somebody is looking at it, can maybe also feel this. But my work is very abstract, so I have this happen that people see something completely different in there, which I like, because that's even a bigger horizon, it's even a bigger variety. And I have an example there. I did once a piece, very three-dimensional, very earthy looking, but with a lot of turquoises and a rough texture. And it was out of a series changing coastlines. It was a show I had, 15 years ago, 12 years ago maybe. And I had access to photography taken from the space shuttle or the ISS, the space station, from Earth. And over time, they could see that the coastlines are changing. of course, the sand dunes, the deserts, they're changing anyhow, but the coastlines and mountain ranges, they are changing. And I found that fascinating, and it looks amazing from space.
Yeah.
And I did a whole show just regarding related to that theme. So there was a couple, they bought one art piece, and I was not at the show some other time, but when I met them some shows later, they said, "Hey, we have your barrier reef from Australia." I said, "I have never been in Australia.
Right.
I have never made this." And they said, "Yes, it looks so and so." And I said, "Oh, those are the changing coastlines, and this is this and that." "Oh, okay, well, we have our own name." And I said, "That's wonderful," because they saw that piece and they said, "Hey, look, this is Australia. This looks like the barrier reef where we were diving."
Right.
So they had the most wonderful memories.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is great. I feel like this is great to give that space, even that freedom for people to connect to a piece in their very personal and own way.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter to you if people look at your work and know exactly the references or where you're drawing the inspiration from.
I have the themes, the names, they are giving a hint.
Yeah.
I had this in the last show a lot. It was about the portals and gates in the world, about my travels where I saw a lot of monumental gates, very three-dimensional massive doors to temples or churches or mosques or big walls surrounding
castles,
those
big doors.
Yes, and which were for
Gates.
protection, right? And this is why they are so heavy and so massive. But then, of course, I had a very abstract name. But we wrote an underline. This is the Taj Mahal in India, or is related to that, or it's the inspiration. I took it from. We wrote it in a subtitle, so that was helping. And what I liked too during that show was a big screen at the gallery where all my travel photos were shown. And especially the photos which are the base for those art pieces. And that was helping a lot, and that was interesting. And I like the dialogue which comes up. I had people standing in front of pieces and really looking at this and discovering things. And so, and I walked to that couple and I said, "Do you know what this might be or where this could be?" And they say, "Yeah, we don't know. We just figured out there is a picture and here is this art piece."
Right.
And then I explained to them, I said, "This is Alhambra in Granada in Spain. And Alhambra is Arabic for red clay. And this is, because the building was made from that clay. And this is why I picked the same color, but the composition is a different one. And I put it in a different scenery." And so, and it's so wonderful to have those conversations then with the with visitors. And then they say, "Oh, we have been there too, but we never thought about it, or we never checked this and this out, or we never noticed this and that." And I like that. It's just wonderful.
Yeah. By the way, because you're going to be in Santa Fe, have you seen? There's it's like a Masonic temple that's based on the Alhambra.
No,
it's a really interesting architecture. You should.
I will,
check it out
and I
and
made
see,
some time today to check out some other things I have on my list. But I will definitely check this out. That's really interesting. It's just to maybe to point out again that it's really never my approach to create a copy. So, I mean, if you know this is the Alhambra, you see it and you think, "Oh yeah, it looks like a mosque and it looks like a temple kind of thing." But I put the whole structure in an ocean of gold. And it looks really being surrounded by an ocean of gold. So it's gold and it's really liquid because it's resin. So because you feel like when you are in that building or in the courtyard, the intensity of the sun is amazing. And they have the water in the middle of in the courtyard, which is helping to, still feel comfortable in there. And I had to throw in some bougainvillea. I really like
Oh,
bougainvilleas.
yeah.
For me, bougainvilleas are Italy, Spain, and it's all those Mediterranean countries, or North Africa too. But Spain, North Africa, not that much. But Spain.
Did you use actual petals?
No. I to a certain extent I can use organic material, but I have to make sure it's really completely dried out, and I have to seal everything in order to have it stable, that it's not fading by sunlight, and that it holds for I don't know how many years. So I cannot use blossoms or flowers.
So how did you suggest bougainvillea?
I did it out of paper. It's paper pieces which I folded in a certain way and looks exactly like a bougainvillea blossom, and exactly in that bright pink color. And I was just throwing it into that ocean of gold, and it was just the colors what it needed. And
gorgeous,
I really,
beautiful.
I thought that's kind of a nice twist to it. What I also added in all those, or in many of those pieces, original vintage brass elements, like little caps or little corners on the building. So I have a collection also from my travels in Istanbul, in Turkey, and in Morocco, like original architectural or more decorative brass elements. And I incorporated those into that art where it matched, then there I added them. And I think it was an interesting touch. And here is, of course, the circle to history. Here I can, spin the circle back to history, to that vintage look, or also to that ancient feel. This is where I can present it also.
I feel like you're really interested in materials that have had a life already.
Yeah. I grew up in Europe, so you grew up with history. I mean, no matter if you drive to school or later in life to work or wherever you go, you pass buildings which are very old. You grew up with that architecture in your normal life. You have classical music in your life. You have every week, or at least twice a month, you go to the museum. And every new exhibition in town, of course, you go there. I mean, or every new concert, or every concert in a park. You're always there.
But it's also, it's like you're not trying to make art in a kind of, an old way. It's very new. It's very contemporary. But using those materials or in a very poetic way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because I'm actually more drawn to minimalism and to modern design, like interior design, and I like minimalistic spaces or places. My guess is, or part of it is, that as an artist, you consume all your information through your eyes. So cluttered places are really exhausting for me because there's so much information. Excuse me. And so I prefer, at least when I come home, to have some calm and minimalistic. But also in my art, I like that too. I try to do as least as possible with the biggest message still, to still transfer my message. And that's, sometimes I like that. But in that particular show, I enjoyed, playing with those vintage elements, which I sometimes do.
So tell us about your gallery in Santa Fe.
Yes, so that's Thornwood Gallery. I am actually with that gallery since 26 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they are out of Houston, and this is where I started with them. In the meantime, they were in Dallas, and then had several other galleries in Houston, and also now in Santa Fe, the gallery. And they have a wonderful program coming up through the whole summer, June, July, August. Every second Friday in the month, they have those special openings.
And you're going to be in all three shows, all three summer shows.
Yes, so I have I dedicated 2 special pieces for each show. according to the theme. So the first in June, so tomorrow, that is about pathways and gateways. So that was right on my line. I worked on it the last 5 months. So I was in this mode, and I just did 2 more pieces, but more reflecting the Southwest.
Yeah.
So I created 2 pieces, which one it's really like calls like the traces to ancient times, and I had Mayas, Incas in mind, but also the Indian culture, native, by using particular colors, shapes of the buildings. I added again brass elements. And that was the first one of the pieces. And then I have a similar piece, but I used the turquoise because I wanted to address, which we forget, there are a lot of cities and buildings and structures in the ocean. A lot is sunken or doesn't exist to the eye right now anymore. You would have to dive. You would have to go under water. So I did a similar piece with the same message, but in a more turquoise, like native turquoise, I would call it, way. So I feel like they represent that theme very, very well, Yeah. It's portals basically from one world to another.
Right.
And fitting
Portals,
in the same.
Yeah.
And or pathways, like, the gate or the portal to an ancient world. And the other is the gateway to sunken cities.
Yeah.
That's what I try to show there. And
I feel like you've had kind of a lifelong interest or fascination in moving from one kind of world into another, these kind of, I don't know, like transitional spaces.
Yeah. I noticed that we have this, and we all have that, everybody, that we, in our normal days, that we are switching from one world into another.
Yeah.
Let's say you wake up in your place and you step out into the world, which is community, which is a common world, which is totally busy and absolutely different than the work.
Yeah.
It's different sometimes too. And some come home, go and do yoga, do their meditation, entering maybe another building for that, or just the park, which is just a green world, right?
Right.
So I feel like that we are entering different worlds during our day many times.
Oh, yeah. I think there's something really universal about, like, I think most people can identify with that. But I also wonder if, like, the way you grew up in East Berlin, kind of knowing that there was another world just beyond a wall that you couldn't access. I wonder if that had, not to make it too autobiographical, maybe,
but that might be that actually what it at least says, or what it shows, is that I started early to step into other worlds.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting that you mentioned that my friends and my family, they notice, or they say that I had already several lives. I had my first life in East Germany, which was completely different, started in a new world, another life. Then I moved to America, which, believe me, is different too.
Yes.
Even if we feel we are kind of alike and so, like, different towards to other cultures maybe. But it is different. And you learn in every new world, new things.
Yeah.
It's different systems, different rules, different regulations, different sensitivities. And,
you have, like, I think, an endless curiosity about the world, and you like to travel and you like to go into new spaces, and it all comes through in your work. That there's a consistency of your work over time, but also it reflects your travels and your the evolution of your thoughts as you travel. So, I think, everyone who's listening, go to Santa Fe, Thornwood Gallery all summer long. You'll have work there. at different shows, and you can see it, experience it in person. Is there any other thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, well, I would love to that the people check out Canyon Road and the gallery, and I feel like it's always amazing. I mean, I have to fly here. I'm living in Houston, so I have to fly over here in order to do that. But I will be at every show. I fly in every month just to be part of it.
Yeah.
There are many wonderful artists, and it's just also nice to meet them all. We see usually each other once a year. But it's nice to see them in between and to exchange thoughts and to see how everybody creates a new technique or tries new things. And it's just a pool of creativity, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it very, very much, and would be nice to share it with everybody and to welcome everybody to see it and have a look.
Absolutely. Yeah, very special place. And thank you for being here. This is wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.